Hello and welcome to this Affinity 2 tutorial, which is effectively a part 2 to what I did recently, looking at common errors and mistakes or misunderstandings that new users to Affinity Photo have. Now, a lot of these questions repeatedly turn up in Facebook groups or forums and places like that. So I just want to address a few of these to try and help newbies work out how best to solve some problems. Now, one of the most common ones that turns up is that they lose parts of the interface, and the interface is like the outside edges. Now, invariably it's losing the tools on the left and the studios on the right. Now, what happens here is that they accidentally pressed the tab key. If I press the tab key, as you can see, the interface, you can't see it. You can still edit your tool by using the menus, but you can't use the tools and studios. This is sort of just so you can sort of help you visually see your editing without the distractions of the side panels. So you just press the tab key to bring those back. It's fairly easy to press the tab key by mistake when you type in, you might hit, instead of going for the caps lock, you hit the tab key or something like that. So it's fairly easy to sort of solve that problem. Now, another sort of thing that sort of comes up fairly regularly is changing the units of measurements. So if I come to this image here, I've got the rulers here, and I will be going over the rulers in a bit, but we have the rulers here, and if I come to this view tool, which is just this hand, you can see that this is being set in the units of pixels, so the ruler is in pixels. But if I change this to inches, that ruler will then change to inches. And similarly, if I change this to centimeters, the ruler will change to centimeters. So whichever unit you want to work in, you can change it via coming to the view tool and altering the units up here. Now, obviously, if you start in a new project, you can start the units in whichever version you want. I normally always do mine in millimeters, so if I started a new one now, it will be set up in millimeters, but I won't start a new one now. So, looking at the rulers, some people don't like them or don't fully understand what they're doing, but you can turn them off by, if you come to view and hang on, somewhere down here, show rulers, there we go. You can press Control R on a PC, I'm guessing it's Command R on a Mac, but you can just click on that to get rid of the rulers. Now, if I remember rightly, when Affinity Photo first came out, the rulers weren't there by default, you had to turn them on. But I like mine on, so I always have mine on. They don't take up much room, from the display window, so I find them easier to have them on. And also, they are also very good for getting the guidelines. Now, you can get the guidelines again through the view menu. Click on guides, and from this option you can put in a horizontal guide or a vertical guide. Now, if I just click on the horizontal guide, it will automatically put it at the halfway point, and if I put in a vertical guide, again it will automatically put it at the halfway point. But you can click on these and alter the settings if you want. So if I close that, you can see I've got a blue vertical line there, and you can just about see that blue horizontal line. Now, if I have the move tool, I can click and move these anyway, so you can see them better. But these are the guidelines. If I just drag them off the image area, they will disappear. Now that's all well and good if you know what size you want them beforehand, but if you want a guideline, yeah, you can only do this when the rulers are here, which is why I keep mine on. You can click on the ruler and drag down, and that will bring our guideline that way. And similarly, from the left hand ruler, I can bring out a guideline like this. So for example, if you wanted, you wanted some text on, say, the 20 centimeter vertically and horizontally, like so, you could then set up your text to start from that guideline point. So then you know that your text is in that 20 centimeter point, sort of horizontally and vertically. So this is sort of the main reason why I would keep the rulers there. One, they don't take up much room, and two, it's easy to drag out the guidelines as and when I want them. And like I said, you can just quickly get rid of them whenever you want. And let me just delete that, don't need that now. Now while I'm on this picture, I will then look at another problem which comes up fairly regularly, and that is the horizon, because it is sloping down. Now obviously there are many reasons why you would take a picture with a sloping horizon. In my case here, I was so concentrating on trying to catch the wave crashing against the sea wall, I wasn't too worried about whether the camera horizons were straight. I was so busy looking down here. And also I knew I could straighten the horizon later on. Let me just duplicate this. So it's a lot easier to move this one. So if you come to the crop tool, you can move your cursor to any of the corners, and as you come to the corner, the cursor will change to a double-ended arrow. So if I then click the left mouse button and hold, I can swivel that horizon left, right, whichever way, and you get extra grid lines coming on to help it a lot easier to get that horizon straight. And you can do that by eye, and it's roughly straight. And if I applied this now, it would crop to that setting. But let me just cancel that a second. Bring up the crop tool again. Now there is also a sort of less manual way of doing the horizon, and you do have to be on the crop tool, but one of the options up here is a straighten button. If I click on that, the cursor will change to this sort of target with what looks a bit like a spirit level. And if you come to one side of the horizon, click, hold and drag out this line here, and go to the next side of the horizon. And it doesn't have to be a landscape horizon. It could be a door frame or roofs of houses, whatever gives you that straight line. And then when I let go of the mouse button, it will automatically swivel the crop, and then when you click apply, that crop will be made and your level will be horizon will be level. So that is very quickly those three sort of very quick tips that often get asked about in groups and forums, etc. Right, this next one is it was a fairly recent request, and I must admit I have not seen it too often, but it's somebody wants to copy and paste sort of one image in Affinity Photo to another. but they didn't want to go through the copy and paste process, and I believe this must have been a Photoshop user, and I'm guessing you can do this in Photoshop quite easily, but I really don't know. But they wanted to know whether it was possible to have like two images on the screen at the same time and just drag one to the other. Now you can sort of undock these documents. So you've got these two documents here that I've got here, and by docked I mean attached to the interface. Now if you, let me do this one here, if you click and hold on the name of this particular document and drag it downwards, it will become undocked from the interface, and you can even resize this if you wish. Put that there. I'll press Ctrl and 0 to put that back in the center. Now as you can see, although this is undocked, this is the currently highlighted and selected layer in the Layer Studio. You put this over there. So if I just click on this layer and drag it out, it will be brought and copied and pasted into this document. So I can then, hang on, I need the move tool for this. I can just dock this back into the top there and come back to this one, and this, come here. Oh, it's come over and it's locked. Let me take the lock off of that, then I can move it. Sorry about that, I didn't notice the padlock on there. Oh, it must be because it was padlocked here, and when I dragged it over it brought the padlock with it. But take the padlock off and I can now move this into position wherever I want it. So that sort of answers his question about whether it was easy enough to have two images on screen and just drag one over to the other. Now I did also, while researching whether this could be done, I did also find that in the window menu in Arrange you got float and float all. Now you can highlight, which one's highlighted at the moment? It's the background that's highlighted at the moment. So if I go to window, arrange and float, that particular document is now a floating window and not docked. And again I can come up to window, arrange and then dock, and it will dock that back into the interface. So the other options here is obviously float all, and if they are all floating you can then do dock all. So that is basically hopefully answering his question about whether you can have two windows open and transfer one image onto the other, basically. Oh, the other thing was you can also, if you click on this sort of what I call like a robot head and open up the assistant, I think it's under General tab, and somewhere down here, oh yeah, documents open in a new floating window. So if you put a tick into there, every time you open a document it will open floating and not docked. But I really don't see a use for that, so I'm not going to alter my settings. So I think that's about it on this topic. Now while I've sort of touched on the subject of copy and paste, some people do get slightly confused with copy and paste, especially those new to computing in general, but those new to Affinity Photo. Now copying is just sort of literally what it says. It copies whatever it is that you have, but in the case of Affinity Photo it would be like an image or text or something like that, and you copy that into the computer's memory. Now this is sort of known as the clipboard. So your image, text or whatever is sitting in the clipboard waiting to be used at some point, which is where paste comes into it. So you copy from one position and you then paste it into another. So if I come back to this gentleman here, now you can copy and paste in various ways. You can do it from the edit menu. Copy command is here, so you can click on that to copy whatever is the highlighted subject, in this case this layer here, or you can press Control and C on the keyboard on a PC and Command and C on a Mac, or you can come to the layer menu, you can right click the layer and copy is here as well. So let me just click on this, copy. So nothing has happened on this particular document, but that is now in memory. And just to sort of prove that, if I come up to the file menu, you have new from clipboard. If I click on that, it has now put a new version of that in the document. But that document is still sitting in the clipboard. So I could do that again, new from clipboard. I've got yet another one. So until you copy something else into the clipboard, whatever you put there last will be in there again. So let me just turn these off. I don't need these extra ones. And so if I come back to this background one, I can then come down to paste or Control and V. Now V goes back a very long way because Control and P is used for the print command, so they had to pick a different key for paste. So you click on paste and it will paste in whatever it was into the document. Now because this image is much bigger than my background, because it pastes in the size that it sort of is, if you see what I mean. So what I will do is I will just come to one of the corners, the cursor will change to a double-ended arrow. I will hold the control key and I will just resize that down and resize it and sort of position it however I want it to go. So let me just delete that. Now there is other commands that go along with copy and paste, and that is cut, and there is also a place command, but we'll look at cut first. Now cut is Control and X if you're doing a keyboard shortcut. Now cut works much like the copy command, but whereas copy will just copy a file, so let's say I copied that and I put it into this one, this stays exactly where it is. The version of it is in the clipboard and can be copied many times. The cut command will sort of remove that completely. But when I use the paste command and I place that in there, if I come up to file, new from clipboard, I mean that is still there because copy was the last thing I did, or cut was the last thing I did, so that is still in the memory, but the original has literally been cut and is no longer there. So if you want to keep your original, use copy, but if the original file is not a problem to be lost, but because you've put it into a new document, then you can use cut and paste. So let me just delete that one and this one here. I'm not going to save that. And let me get rid of that. So now we're going to move on to the place command. Now the place command is in the file menu and it's down here. Now this is the sort of copy and paste hybrid in the sense that it will sort of copy the file and paste it into your image, but the difference is, whereas copy and paste will, when it pastes the file in, it will be in the size that the whatever the file is designed in, whereas place command, you sort of draw out the size that you want it to be. So if I click on place, you have to navigate to where your image is, and mine is in here, I believe. Oh, it doesn't matter, let's just use this one. Click open. So then the cursor changes to an arrow with a very weird icon next to it, and when you click and hold, you drag out to whatever size you want it to be, and then once you've let go, you can then use the move tool to resize and sort of make it whatever size you want it to be. So that is basically the copy, paste, cut and place commands. Hopefully I've explained them all okay, and I think I will end the video here. So thank you for watching. I have done 2 written tutorials looking at all of these subjects and a few other topics in those written tutorials as well. Issue 1 of that tutorial is out already, and I will add a link to that to the description of this video, and version 2 will be out hopefully sometime before Christmas. So thank you and goodbye.